Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would?
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement, sir, actually.
The person you heard saying, "Oh my goodness," in the background was actually Harris Faulkner from Fox. And this was at the National Association for Black Journalists. Even the Fox host reacted as Donald Trump was attacking one of the other panelists, Rachel Scott from ABC News. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10 of a disaster, this was a 100 for Donald Trump. This was an atomic, disastrous interview. Now, Donald Trump spoke at the National Association of Black Journalists, and the NABJ justified inviting Donald Trump on the basis that they've invited the leaders of each political party running for the presidency since the 1970s. A lot of people were very upset that Trump was invited, given his despicable and racist history. But Donald Trump was invited, and he brought the circus to Chicago at the National Association of Black Journalists convention. Here, Donald Trump was asked a question at the beginning of this interview, and he was asked this question by Rachel Scott. And just watch what happens here. Play this clip.
Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Then Donald Trump is asked a question about Vice President Kamala Harris and the fact that people very close to Trump are calling her DEI and all of these things. Watch what Donald Trump responds, a horrific racist response. Play this clip.
Follow up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
Give me a
definition then. Would you give me a definition of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question, a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you will.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She is always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct.
And wow, Donald Trump continues to attack Rachel Scott as she tries to get him to stop rambling. Watch this.
I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it, George.
We cover you
George
extensively, sir. I'd
Slobodanopoulos.
love to move over on to different
I didn't
topics
notice you
now.
do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one where I
Sir,
have
if you
a
don't mind, I'd
hostile
love
judge.
to. We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
No,
topics.
excuse
if
you.
we
You're the
can.
one that held me up at 35 minutes, just so you understand.
So then Donald Trump is asked at the NABJ conference why the cop who shot Sonia Massey should have immunity, because Donald Trump has said that he wants to give absolute immunity to police officers no matter what they do. Watch Donald Trump's response. Play the clip.
So Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But
And
again, why would?
they're going to be charging the officer? I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking.
Then Donald Trump blames a panelist member, calls her, quote, this woman, for why he's unable to hear the questions being asked. Play the clip.
First of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment, because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually.
Donald Trump is then asked whether he would pardon the January 6th insurrectionists. And he said, oh, absolutely. Play the clip.
What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed that city?
But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen to
my
the people
question is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters
down-
who assaulted
Excuse me.
officers.
You have to
Would
ask,
you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those-
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court just they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're
that,
talking about
how
people
come
that
the
were
people-
seen
no,
beating
We're
officers
talking
with
about federal
flagpoles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on video. Have you seen that
Really?
video,
Oh,
sir?
really? Well, they
you would
shot-
pardon those. You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. Nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in
140
Minneapolis.
officers
You know
were
people died in
assaulted.
Minneapolis.
Hey everyone, Brett here. I've tried meal kits before, but sometimes I found they either didn't have enough options or the meals were just too complicated to put together after a long day. Luckily, I found Marley Spoon and I could not be happier. This podcast is sponsored by Marley Spoon. Marley Spoon knows bland food is boring, so they created the best tasting meal kit money can buy. And with our code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, you could get up to 25 free meals. With Marley Spoon, you could choose from over 100 delicious recipes every week. From Cajun spiced chicken to poached salmon to butternut squash gnocchi to a vegan burrito bowl. My favorite recent meal from Marley Spoon was their grilled pesto chicken. It was absolutely mouthwatering, easy to make, and healthy. And many of the recipes are completely customizable. So whether you're looking for vegetarian meals, family-friendly dishes, or low-carb options, Marley Spoon has the food you want to eat. They even have an in-house registered dietitian who assesses every recipe, taking the guesswork out of eating healthy. I just cooked a recipe for Marley Spoon last night. My wife and I loved it. There's something really rewarding about cooking food yourself and it tasting amazing versus doing expensive, unhealthy takeout. I'm honestly saving so much money and I'm eating healthier, better food as well. Marley Spoon also saves you from making that extra grocery haul with their online market of pantry essentials. You could shop their selection of over 125 items like seasonal produce, ready-to-heat options, meal shortcuts, extra proteins, and handy snacks, and easily add them to your next box. With meal planning and food shopping taken care of, making delicious food at home has finally become effortless. Plus, with Marley Spoon, you aren't locked in long term. Their flexible subscription allows you to edit, pause, or cancel your boxes anytime. So, experience the most personalized meal kit today with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Meidas and use code Meidas, MEIDAS, for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that's marleyspoon.com/offer/Meidas, MEIDAS. Make sure you use that promo code Meidas so they know that we sent you.
Then Donald Trump does not answer a pretty direct question about whether J.D. Vance will be ready on day one. Play the clip.
And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at J.D. Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference.
Donald Trump is then asked by Harris Faulkner, why is it that you chose J.D. Vance? You hear what everyone's saying about how unqualified he is and how weird he is. Play the clip.
So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why
did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing too. I know everybody out there can, but it's hard to hear.
I'll tell you why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy without the benefit of having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at, his career has been an amazing career.
And here, under more questioning, Donald Trump is unable to explain what his immunity for cops proposal is. Play the clip.
I didn't like it at all.
So, can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake. But if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine
you
an
go
innocent
after
mistake?
somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous, and they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing, because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So
Trump then gives his closing message to black journalists and voters. Play the clip.
And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that interview.
You told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people.
And then this interview was going so badly that Trump's team basically pulled him off stage and cut the interview short. Watch this moment, play it.
In your job.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well,
by the way, even the propaganda network, Right Side Broadcast Network, RSBN, was like, what in the world was that? Well, that was interesting. Here, play this clip.
Well, that was quite interesting. As you all know, this is Matthew Alvarez with Bobby McNeely here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, President Trump somewhat going into the lion's den there. Of course, Harris Faulkner being respectful to the president, that first journalist to President Trump's left, not so much. Unexpected in some ways. We thought this would be more of a roundtable discussion, and instead there was some hostile words or questions and statements, and you can tell there is extreme bias there by that one journalist. And
so now we're hearing statements like this. This is from April Ryan, who previously won Black Journalist of the Year from the National Association of Black Journalists. She says the following: Trump came into our home, a black press advocacy convention, and insulted us to our face. What is worse, he was invited to do this by NABJ leadership. Shame. Someone else comment, this Trump NABJ interview is an absolute disaster. He literally said Kamala was Indian and decided to turn black and should be investigated for it. I can't believe he's saying this stuff into a microphone. Well, we can believe it here at the MeidasTouch Network. This is who he is. This is why we showed you that other poll in Michigan. Donald Trump had 0.00% support amongst black voters in Michigan. And that's where he held that event at the black church that he rented, where he filled it up with the white MAGA supporters wearing the hats. Y'all remember that? So anyway, that was Donald Trump's disastrous event. And, you know, if the media wants to do what it should do, or like we know what it's capable of doing, they should be saying Donald Trump must step down tomorrow. Although I think at this point we're seeing where the polls are going. It's maybe an okay thing for him to keep making a fool of himself so that there is a blue wave for pro-democracy. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. MeidasTouch Network's close to 3 million subscribers, so share the word about this network and hit subscribe now. Have a wonderful day.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram at MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.